वन्दे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् रक्तशुक्लप्रभामिश्रम् अतर्क्यम् त्रैपुरम् अहः विशुद्धिज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्तिनिमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथरेखालङ्कृत कुन्तलाम् भवानीं भवसन्तापनिर्वापण सुधानदीम्
Part is the puja. We usually call it as yaga, either bahir yaga or antar yaga. So having already stated the greatness of Japa, in the 12th sutra, Bhagavan Parashurama states the importance of the saparya or the bahiryaga and antaryaga. He says, Anandam Brahmano Rupam Tat cha Dehe Vyavasthitam Tasya Avivyanjakaha Panchamakaras Taihi Archanam Guptya Prakatyan niraya. We will split this sutra into 3 segments. The first segment, Anandam Brahmanaha Rupam. The second segment, Tatucha Dehe Vyavasthitam Tasya Avivyanjakaha Panchamakaras. The third segment, Taihi Archanam Guptya Prakatyan niraya. In the first segment, Bhagavan says that Anandam Brahmanaha Rupam. He is establishing the swarupa of Parasiva. We have already seen that Parasiva is of the nature of Parasamvit or Chit, Chaitanya. In this sutra, Bhagavan says that Anandam Brahmano Rupam. Not only Chit, Ananda is also his essential swarupa. The Ananda of Parashiva is not agantuka or adventitious. It is natural. The difference between the adventitious bliss is that it will last as long as the padartha which is giving that ananda through the senses lasts. Whereas Swarupa Ananda is something which is not dependent on any other external objects for its experience. Now, later on, Bhagavan will establish that whatever we experience even through the senses is a glimpse of the Swarupa Ananda only. Okay. See, when we have our day-to-day experience through our sense organs, see, our interaction with the world is through our sense organs. The senses are called as prana also. Prana is a term which needs to be interpreted according to the situation. At times it is used in the sense of the vital air, the breath. At times it is used in the sense of chit shakti, as in the previous sutra. And it also is used in the sense of indriyas. So the indriyas are called as prana because they give the strength to every experience of a person. In this experience, let us say a person, when he visualizes something delightful, a scenery which presents itself in front of him, he sees through his chakshurindriya. The scenery is merely a trigger according to the Shastra, a trigger to unlock the swarupa ananda of the experiencer. Only difference is between the jnani and a pasu. A jnani understands that to realize his swarupa ananda, he is not dependent on, let us say, a delightful scene or scenery. For a pasu, someone who is in the pasu bhava, he would require a good scenery to bring out that swarupa ananda. That is the only difference between the two. So, anandam brahmanaha rupam. This is something very important. Not only chitta, but ananda is also the swarupa of Parasiva. In the Vedas or in the Upanishad, we come across lines like Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. So, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Vijnanam is chitta. Anandam is the essential bliss. Tasya tat cha dehe vyavasthitam. A person can have the experience of the ananda while being in a sharira itself. So, when we experience a sense of delight through any of the sensual contacts, this sense of delight is a small opening or a small glimpse of the swarupa ananda. When we are completely rid of all the three malas, this ananda anubhava will become permanent. Till that time, this ananda anubhava is intermittent. So, one can have the swarupa ananda while being in the sharira itself. In the sense, Bhagavan is here establishing the fact that the ultimate purpose of the upasana is to try to reach jivanmuktavastha. Videha-muktavastha is something which is guaranteed for an uttamottama upasaka. But it should be his endeavor to try that he realizes the jivanmuktavastha. So, while living in this world, by being in this body, he can still experience this ananda. Tatu cha dehe vyavasthitam. Tasya avivyanjakaha Panchamakaras. This is the crucial aspect of the upasana. The most misunderstood aspect is being clarified here. Bhagavan says, Panchamakaras, the five makaras, they are avivyanjaka. Avivyanjaka means the means for bringing forth. bringing forth that swarupa ananda. So, tasya anandasya, tasya refers to anandasya. Tasya anandasya avivyanjakaha panchamakaras. So, in the upasana, when we are using the madhu-madya-mamsa-mudra-maithuna, each of them stand for, or each of them give a glimpse of the swarupa ananda of Parasiva, whom we actually are. To that extent only we should be using the Panchamakaras. So the usage of Panchamakara is to be restricted to that extent. One should have a clarity why he is using the Panchamakaras. Okay. In later sutra also he is going to stress upon this point. But coming to it. So tasya avivyanjakaha panchamakaraha. Okay. Then the third segment. Taihi archanam guptya prakatyan niraya. One should perform the archana or the puja using the Panchamakara guptya, in secrecy. Prakatyan niraya. What will happen if I do it in an open manner or in a manner advertising myself or advertising the puja? Bhagavan says prakatyat. If you do it openly in the full view of the world, niraya, there is a pratyavaya for you. Pratyavaya means there is a negative consequence which you will have to suffer because of that. So, usage of Panchamakaras is strictly to understand or to realize the swarupa ananda of our Parasivavastha, and their employment in our archana has to be done in Rahasya, okay, in secrecy. So when we say in secrecy, again later on we are going to see a concept of mandala, okay. So it doesn't mean that only yourself have to be there in that place where the puja is being done by you. You are allowed to invite some people into the to the place where the puja is happening. But who are those people? How you need to conduct yourself and how they have to conduct themselves. So this is guarded by a very strict rules and regulations. There are a lot of do's and don'ts in a mandala. So all that will not be possible when we do a open and a public puja. So that is why he says taihi archanam guptya. Not only that, he is giving a double warning here. He says prakatyat. If it is done in presence of those who are not deserving to see, then nirayaha. Nirayaha, you can take it as narakaha. Okay? So you will have a very severe negative consequence. Anandam brahmano rupam tatcha dehe vyavasthitam tasya avivyanjakaha panchamakaraha. Taihi archanam guptya prakatyan nirayaha. Okay. Then, having given the greatness of the japa and puja. So, the puja's greatness is you can realize your swarupananda through your antaryaga and bahiryaga. Okay. The greatness of japa is you can realize the unity, the ekatmata bhava. So having established the greatness of these two, now he is going to give us some Upasaka Dharmas, the qualities or rather the guidelines for the Upasakas. See, all these are given upfront. The sense that it is the duty of an acharya or a guru to tell the would-be shishya, these are all rules and regulations. These are all do's and don'ts. If this is acceptable to you, you enter this marga. If by any chance you feel that you cannot adhere to these rules, then it means that you have still not reached the paripaka or the maturity to enter this form of upasana. Okay, that is why the Upasaka Dharmas and all those things are given before explanation of the diksha. It shouldn't be the other way around. After a person gets diksha, then you go and tell him all the rules and regulations. Then that fellow is left completely stranded. If there is some kind of an hesitations or some other restrictions that he cannot follow, then it will become very difficult for him to be in the upasana. But having come in, to give up the upasana is also very difficult. So that is why it is better that a guru gives all these instructions upfront. So the first upasana dharma, upasaka dharma, Bhavana dardhyat ajna siddhihi. Bhavana dardhyat ajna siddhihi. Bhavana is to develop a sense of an not merely intellectual understanding, but an attempt to understand the tattva behind the each and every process involved in the upasana. Say for example, why do we do tattva chamanam? I am starting from the basics. The mantras of the tattva chamana, there are 4 mantras. What does each mantra stand for? So a person has to do a vichara on this. Obviously, for the first time, the guru will have to teach, but it has to be chewed upon by the shishya. So this chewing upon the idea will lead to a state where he will have a firm conviction in his belief system. That is called as bhavana. So when he reaches that bhavana dardhya means that firmness. When he reaches this bhavana dardhya, ajna siddhi. There are 2 ways in which the term ajna siddhi is interpreted. That is, first interpretation is whatever he orders, that will come or that will find an effect. So if he says something or if he wishes for something, his ajna will find siddhi, fulfillment. This is the first interpretation of the term ajna siddhi, but there is not much swarasya in this interpretation. To understand the term ajna, in the Kubjika Mata, see, Kubjika Mata is a very important tantra of the Paschimamaya. In the Kubjika Mata, the term ajna is frequently used for the sampradaya jnana, the knowledge passed down through the tradition. So the term ajna means the knowledge passed down through a tradition. So now let us use that meaning here. Ajna siddhihi. So the upasaka gets siddhi, fulfillment, or he reaches the culmination of what has been taught through the tradition. What has been taught through the tradition? Obviously, the Parama Purushartha, we have already made a mention that it is only moksha. So the ultimate aim of the upasana is to recognize one's true nature. So that will happen by Bhavana Dharya. So Ajna Siddhihi, his pratyavijnanam of his swarupa, that will happen by the Bhavana Dharya. So one should attempt to chew upon the tattvartha behind every step or every element of the upasana. There is not a single thing which is prescribed here which does not have a deeper significance. But initially we practice at the outer level, and then you ask the Guru to teach you the significance. Then, having heard from him, you do the manana and the nididhyasana. That will lead to Bhavana Dharya, which will ultimately lead to Ajna Siddhi. So, the Upasaka Dharma is to be constantly engaged in steps leading to Bhavana Dharya. Bhavana Dharya Ajna Siddhi. Second, Sarva Darshana Aninda. We don't engage in any debates with others to disprove their belief system. Why? Bhagavan says, Sarva Darshana Aninda. Do not criticize the other point of view. Okay? That is, we don't pick any argument with followers of other systems. We don't go and speak, okay, or we argue that Kaula is the superior marga. Whatever you are doing might not lead you to the ultimate Purushartha and kind of things. The reason is simple. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Na buddhi vedam janayet ajnanam karma sangniham. Do not cause confusion in the mind of people who are engaged in karma by preaching them the importance of jnana. Because unless one has a kind of a mental maturity to accept it, he will not find success in the jnana marga. But if you go and preach to him, okay, the greatness of, let's say, jnana marga, then he is neither into karma because he has heard from someone who is an apta, or someone who is about importance of jnana. Neither can he be engaged in jnana marga because he is not mentally or he is not emotionally ready for that. So we just leave it to the person to evolve on his own. That is why in the previous classes we have seen how a person has to follow or how he undergoes a long process of evolution before reaching or before coming to this upasana. And having stepped into this upasana also, there is a long journey to come. But to even reach this point, we would have taken God knows how many hundreds of them of sadhana. So, when we see others engaging in the other darshanas or other forms of belief systems, we don't criticize them. We just let it as it is. To each his own. So we just leave it at that. Sarva darshana aninda. That is why in any of the bhashyas of the Kaula and the Shakta texts, unlike in the other mainstream Shastra texts like Mimamsa or Nyaya or even Vedanta, where you will find a lot of criticism and counter criticisms of the different darshanas. Here, you will not find that kind of criticism and counter criticisms. The logic is simple. You stay where you are, I stay where I am. If you are destined to reach here, you will reach here. Once you are here, for your understanding, I am writing this bhashya. Okay? So this is very important. We don't go and criticize others' point of view. Sarva darshana aninda. At the same time, if someone criticizes our practice, what to do? Agananam kasyapi. See, it's a very bold statement that Bhagavan makes here. He says, kasyapi aganana. Whoever it may be, kasyapi agananam. Do not take it into consideration. As long as you are on your Guru Ukta Marga, on the path prescribed to you by your Shri Guru. If you find others being critical of you, whoever it is, it may be your closest, it may be your parents, it can be anyone. You are not expected to give up your upasana for satisfying or trying to bend for their criticism. You should have the conviction in your Guru Vakya and you should continue to engage in your upasana. See, because sometimes, let's even not going into the depth of the elements of upasana, there are some points, okay, which is different from the mainstream orthodoxy. Okay, let us say one small example I will take. During the Grahana Kala, the orthodox system will not even allow you to do any or enter into your puja group. You are only allowed to take snana and you can do your japam. That's all. Whereas in the Kaula Shastra, you are expected to do the puja during the Grahana Kala. Okay, so if a person from an elderly person from the traditional background comes and sees you and tells you how wrong you are, the Dharma Shastras are very clear, you are not supposed to do any puja and all those things in the Grahana Kala, you simply have to ignore those criticisms because you are acting upon the words of your Shri Guru. So agananam. When it comes to your upasana, you don't have to take into consideration. Na ganana. Okay? Do not take into consideration. Kasyapi, anyone's words. To you, it is only your Guru Vakya which is the most pramanika, and you have to stick to it. When we say Guru Vakya, the Guru Vakya supported by the Shastra. Okay? The next sutra. Sat shishye rahasya kathanam. Rahasya means upasana rahasya, the secrets of the upasana. So, since the entire upasana is a secret, it means giving the mantropadesha and everything connected with the mantropadesha. Sat shishye rahasya kathanam. A guru should always give upadesha after testing the shishya's ability. That is established by the adjective sat shishya. So he has to identify the shishya's qualifications before giving the Upadesha. Okay? Why is this important? Because if the Shishya is not found to be mature enough to handle the Upasana, then number one, he might become Brashta from his older path. Number two, he might, or in the sense that he might misuse the jnana which is given by the Guru, okay, for selfishness reasons. See, what the Guru is going to hand over to the Shishya in the form of the Upasana is a very, very powerful tool. It can be used to get the highest benefit for oneself, highest benefit for the Loka Kshema. It can also be used for many other unwanted purposes also. So, a Guru has to really judge the character of the Shishya before giving. So, he says, Sat Sishye. Number one. Number two, until unless someone is one's Shishya, he should not be giving the Rahasyas to that person, even if he is good. Now, why is this? I'll just give you a small example to prove this. Generally, we are all followers of the Kalpa Sutra. Our Diksha is according to the Kalpa Sutra. And in Kalpa Sutra, Na divas maret vartalim. We are not allowed to do any form of upasana of Varahi in the daytime. Neither the mantra japa nor the puja or anything. The only exception is you can use the Vartali mantra as a part of your sapariya in the Panchapanchika. That also it has to be upamshu. Okay? It cannot be verbal or loud. It has to be mental only. Second place you can use Vartali is as a form of the Ashtasamaya Vidya for the Digbandhana. These are the two places where you can use Vartali. Otherwise, for the Kalpasutra Niyayis, you are not allowed to use Vartali, or you are not allowed to do the Varahi Upasana in any form during the daytime. Because we have a very clear statement by Bhagavan Parashurama, Na divas maret Vartali. So this is one. So if Sishya, or if someone who is not one's own Sishya were to come, and if the Guru were to give him this kind of an instruction to him, not knowing his background, from which Paddhati he is coming, if he were to say, no, you are not supposed to do Vartali in the day, then it will go against, let us say, Paramananda Tantra Anuyayis. In Paramananda Tantra, there is no such restriction for Vartali Japa not to be done in the daytime. For that matter, they will use Vartali for almost everything. For example, if the Vishesha Arghya drops, spills on the ground, you have to wipe it with the Vartali mantra only. So for them, this restriction of not using the Vartali during the day does not exist. So those who are following the Saubhagya Ratnakara, which is an prayoga of Paramananda Tantra, this Divanas Maret Vartalim rule is not at all applicable. So when the Guru gives certain instruction to Parasishya, then he, not knowing his Sampradaya, then he might really get confused, because there are different, there are differences between the margas, in the Kula margas. So one has to give the Upadesha only to one's own Shishya. To the others, he cannot give the Rahasya arthas. Okay? You can speak on general issues. You can speak on the Tattvarthas and all those things, but not the Upasana Rahasyas. So, Rahasya Kathanam Satshishya Eva. Only to one's own and a Shishya who is tested should the Rahasya Artha be given by a Guru. Okay? Sada Vidyanu Samhatihi. Sada, always. Vidya Anusamhatihi. You should always be chanting your Vidya, your mantra. In the Vyakhyana, Rameshwara Suri engages in a long discussion of interpreting the term Sada. What is the meaning of the word Sada? And he comes to a conclusion. At all other times, apart from your Nitya Anusthana, including your Sandhya, Snana, Japa and all those things, the rest of the time, you have to do the Manasika Japa of your mantra. Any mantra which the Guru has given, or the Mula mantra which the Guru has given. The choice is yours. In Manasika Japa, there are no restrictions of Desha and Kala, Shaucha and all this. So you don't have to worry where you are, in what state you are. I have taken my food, I am outside. None of these applies to the Manasika Japa. So one has to engage in the Manasika Japa Sada, always. A person who sincerely follows this instruction for a period of time, we have experienced that over a period of time, the japa becomes involuntary. You don't have to take efforts to do the japa. Whether you like it or not, the japa automatically will be happening inside. Okay? So, Anna is the best example. So, that comes because you have practiced it. Sada Vidya Anusamhatihi. It's a very beautiful sutra by Bhagavan. So you should always be doing this. Any given time, you should be engaged in your japa. Okay. What will happen when you do Sada Vidya Anusamhati? Next sutra is Satatam Shivata Samaveshaha. If you do, or if you are in the Sada Vidyana Samhati state, then Satatam, that Sada will become Satata. See, Sada is consciously you are engaged. Satatam, automatically in all times. Shivata Samaveshaha, the Shiva Bhava will come into you. Okay, no, I am already Shiva. Yes, but the realization that you are Shiva will come. Now I don't realize. By Sada Vidyana Samhati, that realization will dawn upon me. And once that realization dawns, as in Kena Upanishad, Sakrit Vidyut Sada Vidyut. Once that realization comes, that experience is going to last.
Correct.
It will happen only once, Sakrit,
Sada
but
Vidyut.
the experience will become Sada, always. Okay. So, Satatam Shivata Samaveshaha.
It's basically, it is a Vidyut and Shabdam. The Shabdam Vidyut. Is it actually, see, Shastri always used to say it, when I used to ask him, he used to say, Vidyut is something like a spark. See, the body will kind of shake for a fraction of a second, and then sada vidyate. So it is when it will come, where it will come, how it will come, only Ambal will know. we cannot force it. That's why he'll say, never force it to come. See, nowadays there are people, in these yoga classes saying that I will raise the kundalini and I will do that. See, okay, they may be able to raise. I'm not saying. But what happens if it goes into the wrong nadi? See, it should go into Sushumna nadi. See, if it goes into the wrong nadi, then it is like you are taking a bath in the kuvam. So it's like that. Yeah.
See, that is the whole point of the yoga and other things, especially these kind of yoga, to be practiced only with the guidance of one's guru.
And the guru should have been a realized person. Otherwise, it is very difficult. See,
goes without saying.
Yeah, I'm not talking of Srividya. I'm talking about the
Vidyut means lightning.
Lightning, yeah. Vidyut is also your electricity.
So, Ananda, even in the Antaryaga, the dhyana of Ambal in her Paraswarupa is in the form of the lightning.
Correct.
Then Bhagavan gives some very practical and basic level dharmas. But unfortunately, we have hardly mastered these basic level dharmas. So, until unless we have mastered these basic level dharmas, we look for higher benefits. Okay. Let us say what he says. He says, Kama-Krodha-Lobha-Moha-Mada-Matsarya Vihita Himsā-Asteya-Loka vidvishta Varjanam. You should avoid Varjanam. Okay. Kama is Vaishayiki Ichha. A desire to own a particular object. Krodha,
anger.
When that desire to own is not fulfilled, it leads to the anger. Kama-Krodha-Lobha-Moha-Mada-Matsarya. Okay. So, Krodha. Lobha. Lobha is having a desire on an object which does not rightfully belong to me. So the difference between Kama and Lobha is this. Kama is as a desire to possess an object. I may have a Kama to, let us say, buy a particular gadget. I may pay from my rightfully earned money, and I can own that object. Okay. So what drives me to buy is Kama. But Lobha is having a desire upon an object which does not rightfully belong to you. Lobha. Then Moha. Moha is Karya, Akarya, Vicharana. Karyam, this is the right thing to do. Akaryam, this is not the right thing to do. So this Karya, Akarya, Vicharana. Okay. A proper discretion of what is the right thing to do or the thing to be avoided. Okay, when a person loses this, that is moha. Mada is garva, a sense of the ego. Matsarya is a sense of an anger, a krodha born out of hatred. First krodha is because you are not able to fulfill your kama. Here, Matsarya is a krodha which is because of dvesha. because of an hatred. Then, Vihita Himsa. Bhagavan says one should avoid, Avihita Himsa. One should avoid Avihita Himsa, violence which is not prescribed. Avihita Himsa Varjanam. So then where is violence prescribed? Is violence prescribed anywhere? He says yes. Two instances. If it is your Jati Dharma, which involves violence, that is Vihita Himsa. For a Kshatriya, Himsa is a Vihita. Okay, so that is the Vihita Dharma. So it's a Vihita Himsa. Other Vihita Himsa is yajna, in the yaga. So in the yaga which involves the Pashumeda, that Himsa is not treated as Himsa, or let us make it very plain, it is a Vihita Himsa, a Himsa which is prescribed by the Shastra, which means that it does not give rise to any pratyavaya, any papa, any sin. Okay. Asteya, no, stealing. Loka vidvishta. Loka vidvishtam means doing actions which is against the spirit of the society. Loka vidvishta. So something which is not generally acceptable, or which is not, because it will cover a wide range of other subjects. So Loka vidvishta. All these an Upasaka should avoid. So there are methods for avoiding. That is why the Shastras prescribe not only do's and don'ts. It also tells you how or what you need to do to avoid this. For Kama and Krodha, it prescribes the practice of Indriya Nigraha. Okay. For Lobha, it prescribes Dana. So when a person engages more and more in Dana, then that the sense of possessing something in excess can be slowly be overcome. So like this, the Shastras prescribe a countermeasure for all these. Apart from Shadripus, there are others also. So everything is prescribed. So a person has to follow those in order to avoid these. So Kāma-Krodha-Lobha-Moha-Mada-Matsarya Vihita Himsa Asteya-Loka Varjanam. Steya it is, not Asteya, Steya. Then comes the most important dharma. Eka Guru Upastihi Asamshayaha. He should follow one Guru. A Shishya should have one Guru. For what? Asamshayaha. So that there is no doubt. If you have multiple Gurus, then you will not know whom to follow for what. That is one. Guru is an upaya. That is what Bhavana Upanishad says. Guru Upayaha. You don't need multiple upayas for the same destination. If you have multiple upayas, then you will actually not end up even traveling properly. Right? So if you have to reach a destination, you need only one mode of travel. And you stick to that mode of travel, and sooner or later you will reach that particular destination. If you have a doubt on that mode and you adopt some other mode, okay, or multiple modes, then what happens is you might not really reach your destination properly. It will actually lead you or become make you completely confused in your entire path. So eka guruhu upastihi. For a Shishya, Guru is the supreme. So worshipping one Guru. So the term Bhagavan uses is upastihi. Worshipping one Guru. So see, you can be a follower of, for instance, you can hold any number of people in esteem. I can hold Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi in great esteem. I can hold any number of such people in high esteem. Nothing wrong in that. But Guru has to be only one. Eka Guru Hu. Upastihi. That will make the life of Shishya very, very easy because of asamshaya. He will have no doubts, okay, in following his path. We will close now. Next class, we will have a small discussion on an important point made in the Tantras, wherein a Shishya is also allowed to search for other gurus in certain cases. So what are the cases where a Shishya can go in search for another guru? Okay, so those exceptions we will see.